Hello there, and welcome to this new series on demystifying the wonderful world of employee experience and employee engagement. My name is Emma Bridger, and I'm joined by my colleague Lee Smith, who you'll hear from just a sec. And we are founders at the EX space, where our whole purpose really is to demystify employee experience and engagement to help you do the best job you could possibly do. So I'm going to get stuck straight in and start with a question for you, Lee. How would you define employee experience?
Starting at the beginning there, Emma. Great. Yeah. Yeah, it's really important, isn't it, that we're really clear on the definition of something like this. If we, as you and I view this very much as an emerging profession of employee experience, the starting point is to define exactly what it is. And for me, it's pretty broad. It's every touch point that an employee has with their organization. And that could happen actually before they even join the organization. So it's part of the application process if you're going for a job, or even, it would touch on the kind of reputation and the website, the corporate profile, if you like, of an organization as well, right the way through to once you're on board as an employee. How does it feel to be onboarded, to be made part of that organization? How welcoming are the team? What does it feel like when you go into the office? And it's, for me, the essence is the word experience. So it's an experience. If you look at the definition of experience, it's anything that any interaction that you have that has an emotional impact on you. And I think that's another big word for me, is emotion. This is where this is different to something like internal communication, which is often about the rational information processing part of a job. This is more than that and much broader. What about you? What would you?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely spot on. I think start with the word experience. That's about an event or occurrence that makes you feel something, emotions. Let's talk emotions in business, which is high time we do. And then, we differentiate between, the employee experience, which is, I guess, the experience your employee has with you. As you said, everything along that kind of even before you joined or after you've left. So how do we make people feel? And that's massive, right? Because it's kind of everything that happens to you when you're with an organization. But we also differentiate the practice of employee experience, which, we talk about as being the kind of intentional kind of design and facilitation, if you like, of the relationship between an employer and employee, really to help your employees thrive and be their best they possibly be at work. And the outcome of that then is engagement. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I love that, actually, making the link to engagement as well, because we've got 20 years or so of the engagement profession beginning to emerge. And actually, as you say, that really is, we're not saying throw that away. We're saying engagement actually is the outcome of great employee experience. So yeah, the two go hand in hand. They're flips, two sides of the same coin, if you like. So Em, it's obviously incredibly broad. That straight away that gives us a headache in terms of how on earth do you manage and orchestrate something that is basically every touch point between an organization and its employees. So my question to you, where do you start? Where does a practitioner begin? What are the approaches, the main approaches to EX in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to answer that in the time we've got today. Check out the EX space, quick plug to look into that. There are lots of models and approaches out there, right? And every model and approach will tell you that theirs is the right one. For me, it's really about being very cognizant of the fact that we cannot make assumptions about what good looks like for our people, right? So a great experience at work for me will probably be very different to you, for example. So I think it starts by being intentional about the kind of experience we want to create for our people from a business point of view. Clearly, a business like Rolls-Royce might have a very different kind of experience they want to intentionally design than, say, Starbucks or Google. So there is a kind of a business imperative here. And then it's about the work people do. So, what are we asking people to do in their day-to-day? And then importantly, the bit that we most often miss out is, and what does good look like for our people? So we need to make time and effort to put in the time and effort to find that out and not make assumptions about it. But there are lots of models out there, lots of models you can look at and reference. Find an approach, a tool, and a model that really works for you.
Okay. And I guess one of the things as I got into employee experience them and started looking at it more closely, there's a piece where you can kind of orchestrate and manage EX. Okay, there's you can kind of stage manage, for instance, the onboarding process and plan that and execute it in a really clear way. And there isn't there then that sort of everyday EX bit as well, which is just, you know, it's all about very much the relationship that an employee has with their line manager, perhaps with their colleagues. And, you know, for me, some of that, can that be stage managed in the same way, or are we looking at something different there? And is that part of the EX world as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about looking at everything from the hygiene experience, i.e., am I getting paid on time, through to the kind of the classic life cycle experiences, like how do we onboard people, how do we attract people, how do we performance manage people, through to the everyday experience, which is how do I feel working here? That's about culture, values, behavior, through to actually the employee's own responsibility for their experience as well. So thinking about myself, actually, how do I show up at work? What what do I do to improve my experience? What can I do to improve my experience? So we talk about that as the kind of EX landscape model. And I think you need to think about all of those different elements of that as part of the EX.
Well, yeah, important point. So it's not just something that's done to the employee, but they bring something to the table themselves. It's a two-way street, a kind of handshake in that sense.
Absolutely.
Okay.